and blessed unity with the L-O-V-E. Love is the solution, so set your love free with the L-O-V-E. Further evolution and blessed unity.
Good morning, self-lovers. Welcome back to the Self-Love Show. I'm your co-host, Dawn Light, and my beautiful sister here, Trish Wright, is with us too. And, today is a fantastic day. We have a great guest. But before that, I want to really remind you, we're on all the platforms. In case you're new here and you need to find places to go and find other shows, because we've been doing this now almost 4 years. And there are just some solid, beautiful gems of shows out there that really suit your needs all around self-love, because it comes in all kinds of wide topics, right, of where we might need healing. And so where we might need greater understanding of different topics. And so that's the purpose of the show, is to support you in really strengthening your relationship with self, strengthening your relationships, period, right? Because we're all sharing in this juicy, beautiful conversation called love in our life. And so that is our lifeblood, that is our essence, and we share that with every beautiful soul on this planet. And so why not have more of it? Why not live from that place of purpose and loving and connection? And so without further ado, today's guest, I'm so excited to announce her and read her beautiful bio. She is a gem of a person. And today's guest is Lisa Jeffs. So we're going to talk all about integrating your inner saboteur to fulfill your life's work. What a great topic. So integrating the inner saboteur is about looking at forms of resistance in a new way, seeing them as challenges meant for deep spiritual growth and not walls blocking your path. We'll walk through how sabotage shows up and help you see the benefits of integrating the saboteur instead of fighting against it. It's not just about getting past self-sabotage, but rather a whole new way of seeing yourself, your desires, and how to fulfill them. Lisa, with over a decade of experience as an international coach, intuitive, and speaker, specializes in empowering leaders, executives, entrepreneurs, and artists. She helps her clients break free from the constraints of fear, self-doubt, and sabotage. Through her guidance, clients achieve clarity and confidence, enabling them to design lives that align with their authentic selves. Oh, welcome, Lisa.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here. Chat about sabotage.
Yes.
I love about your topic, and just like the little bits of what we shared even before the show, is your commitment to helping people really love themselves and see that little granule, that tidbit, that little piece of sand that turns into a pearl. And you know, one of the things I think that we all struggle with is like unconscious sabotaging.
Yeah.
We all do it without knowing. And I'd like to hear some examples. Like, how has this shown up either with your clients or in your own life? So that before we launch into a definition, but really, like, how does this show up in the world? Because I think that some people are like, I don't do that. And then they're like, oh yeah, I do that.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll say that there's unconscious sabotage, and there's also very conscious sabotage.
Oh, yeah.
So, I can take you through what really prompted me to dive deeper into sabotage and understanding it, with the purpose of helping others. But really, the first purpose was helping myself. So, when I look at the history of my growth, sabotage was something that was a common theme. So when I was younger, I was absolutely unconsciously sabotaging my well-being, doing a lot of self-medicating, lots of drugs and alcohol to really cope with deep grief and feelings. But I really want to talk about the conscious sabotage, because this can be the most frustrating for individuals, especially ones who know that they want to, let's say, do something, or they want to progress in an area. So I work with a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners or artists, but really it's applicable to anyone who has, let's say, a project that they want to do that's really meaningful for them. And for me, my sabotage, I'll give you an example of how it showed up for me. Very prominent. I was very aware of the entire time what was going on. Was I was in a really great place in my business. I was making a lot of progress. I'd done a lot of work, right? I'd done a lot of work on myself. I had done a lot of growth. And I was in a place where things were really progressing and I was feeling good about it. I had a meeting with some of my mentors and we were projecting the growth for the next year. And we were in this conversation and they were really excited. They're throwing out numbers and they're throwing out, impact and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, this is really great. Like I'm excited about this next year. And, that excitement went on for maybe, a day. And then I'm in the bathtub having a bubble bath. And all of this, I'm thinking about the next year. And I'm thinking about these numbers. And I'm thinking about all the eyeballs that are going to be on me. And I'm feeling this almost like cement feeling coming over me. Like it's starting to paralyze. I'm starting to feel my body going into just this I don't know if I want this. This is actually making me feel really scared and really terrified, right? And there's almost two parts, because there was the one part that is very self-aware, has done a lot of work on herself. And then there's my inner saboteur, right? The shadow side coming up being like, we're not making that progress. We're not doing any of that. And I could see what was going on. I was very consciously aware. And for the next, about year and a half, I can get into more of the details later but I was consciously sabotaging my growth and I knew exactly what I was doing. All right. I stopped putting stuff out there. I stopped showcasing my work. Right. I was procrastinating. This is a really common one, right? Why am I procrastinating so much? This is the self-talk that people can fall into. Why am I procrastinating? Why aren't I just doing it? Why can't I just get my stuff together? And it creates this loop of self-judgment. Like, I'm a smart person. Why can't I just get myself? It has nothing to do with any of that, right? You can be very intelligent. You can be very gifted. You can be very talented and be in a deep place of sabotaging patterns, because self-sabotage, in essence, is just self-protection. It's just coming in because for me, right, I was at that growth period. It's what I call the safety line. So my safety line was here and I was right on the edge. And then all these patterns and all these fears and all these behaviors just started to come in. It was like, no, I'm pulling you back. Like the inner saboteur, right? It's pulling me back down here because this is what it knows to be safe. But it can show up, I think, to answer your first question, procrastination, lack of clarity is another one that's very common for my clients, right? They'll get into a place where I just don't know, I'm not sure. And there's nothing wrong with being unclear, but if it's going on for a long time, you're kind of spinning in this lack of clarity, then we got to look at, is it really a lack of clarity, or is it a mechanism to just keep you in this loop from not moving forward? Second guessing self, or you can go into I had one, it was a 2-week span of sabotage where I just marathoned the office for 2 weeks and I just didn't do anything. And I knew what I was doing. Like, I'm not doing any work. I'm just marathoning the office. And again, it just, all these patterns appear are just keeping you in this safety zone because it's just simply self-protection. The sabotage.
Oh, you're just speaking so clearly to it. It's so beautiful. I can vouch for that. I mean, come on. If you're a coach or an entrepreneur or a business owner, for our viewers that are listening right now, has this ever happened to you? Like, oh my gosh, this has happened to me throughout my journey of being a coach. And like the journey of going to graduate school alone was so much exponential growth so fast
Mm-hmm.
that I was radically making a vast leap from like a job that I didn't want to do any longer, but it paid the bills very well, to like this
Mm-hmm.
new territory that I was like, how in the F am I gonna get from over here to over here? And I was just like, there was like this scrambling action. It just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I got to take this course and that course and this, and I got to, it was just like this anxious, like
Yeah.
very anxious patterning that was arising, and I can look back now that I've had years of working on it and with it and cleaning it all up and from the wreckage of like all those actions,
Yes.
it was like, oh my gosh, this is so much of like my mom when I was young, watching my mom grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And God bless you, mom, I love you. But I learned those behaviors through watching her. And then
Yeah.
it was an unconscious, some conscious and unconscious taking place to get me through all of that as I let go of that uncomfortable, horrible job to become the person I am today. And
Yes.
it wasn't a fast span of time. It was a long span of time. I had my toe over there and 9 toes over here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was just like, oh, I want to be. Oh God, I gotta go back and roll. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Totally.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. I love that. And I love how you said it was a lot of it unconscious, because when we do have these unconscious patterns, a lot of times we're just mirroring what we saw growing up.
Yeah.
We're just mirroring it, right? I mirrored a lot of my dad's patterns.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I get that totally.
I love this topic because it's something that I think that as coaches we're all looking at and with our clients. And I'd love to go through I have a list of self-sabotaging behaviors of my clients. It's really funny. Because I'm primarily working, right? So I'm a certified sex and relationship coach. I work with sexual engagement, and I also work with relationships, and I'm holding a lot of couples right now who are opening their relationship up to non-monogamy. And they're doing it in such a way that I'm like, whoa, y'all, slow down.
Yes.
And they're really interesting self-sabotaging behaviors where they're
interesting.
It's pretty okay. So lying, people pleasing. People pleasing is essentially gaslighting. It's a manipulation. Being overly aggressive, being like needy to the sense where they're not taking care of their own needs, like physical, emotional needs.
Yes.
Being abusive, being sort of like performing insecurity. Do you know what I mean by that?
Performing insecurity?
Yes.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah. So like, you both know you're baddies. like you out there who know that you're baddies and that you're good at all of these cool things. And then you meet someone and you play small and you're like, oh, is that okay?
Okay.
You're performing insecurity.
Yeah.
Or contorting or conforming to this idea that you think that person wants. So that's one other way. Another way is that, like blatant cheating or going outside of the agreed upon boundaries, saying yes to things that you don't actually mean, like, oh, I can do that, and then you really don't have any plans to do that, just so you're sufficing. Like, you're just like, oh yeah, I don't want to be in conflict.
Yes.
And literally not like choosing not to have healthy conflict. And then the other one is to push your agenda without listening to anybody else. I mean, I get that there's a certain point where you have to, like, this is where I'm going. But I mean, I hate to break it to you, you're not the only person on this planet. It would probably be much easier for you if you were. But we all live in a global community, so we've got conflict resolution skills.
Yes.
Consciously and unconsciously, all of those things. They're like, ooh, this was so comfortable. Like, my relationship was so comfortable that I just wanted to stir the pot and create drama. And I was like, you want to talk about that part? Like, let's talk about that part.
Yes. Oh, there's so many layers to that. So many layers, especially when we're talking about relationships, right? Because relationships just bring up like the our inner children. You know, when anytime I see relationships, especially romantic relationships, going, it's just like, you know, you have the inner children going at each other and really operating from that place. It just brings up so many beliefs and insecurities and fears around, will I be loved? Will I not be loved? Right? Pushing away love. You know, one really it's the root of all sabotage. When we take down all the layers, it's not feeling safe, or it's not feeling worthy. So if we really look at those two in essence, like, what is going on here, right? Do I not feel safe, you know, for your clients in this relationship? Do I not feel worthy of having this relationship? Do I not feel worthy of being loved, right? And really going to the core of what's going on, because when we go to the core, then everything, you know, layer by layer starts to heal from that. But it's layered, right? It can be really tricky, and you can get through one layer and then you're like, oh my God, wait a minute, there's something else I got to deal with. I thought this was healed. And then you get another trigger, like, okay, no, there's more layers to go.
So we often have a conversation in my language, with USM language. It is the college I attended. And so we often call it stackers. And the universe is bringing us these stacking situations and opportunities. And that's why it kind of feels pressurized, because you're being asked by your soul to awaken to these behaviors and patterns that are conditioned inside of you, really, from your childhood conditioning. And so it all comes down to that core set of conditioning that we received very young. And then it's all played back through our lifetime over and over and over again, until we wake up to each piece. And underneath those things are our core conditioning that we, you know, in Earth School, here we are in Earth School, every human signs up for some type of curriculum. Your soul chose specifically a theme, specifically a type of family unit to be born into that's going to mirror this stuff to you. And and what happens is, before we're even cognitive as 7, we take on these from things we witness our parents say and do, our teachers say and do, our environment say and do, and then we make a deep underlying unconscious belief about ourself. And then that core thing is mirrored out into the world. So it's held inside of us, and our mirror reflects it back to us. And that's why it can be a really deep underlying core belief of, I'm not lovable, I'm wrong. I'm like, the very core thing of, like, my existence is wrong. Like, and I've worked with clients with this, and it is very, very deep. And they will often have a whole core theme of patterning where it shows up as they always are ostracized, or they don't feel like they belong, or, you know, and it's all these core patterning showing up on the outside of not being accepted, being rejected, not being seen, not being validated, not being heard. All of that is a byproduct of the core internal belief structure of, I do it wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So huge.
So
It's
huge.
so huge. And so there's some core themes we all take embodiment to learn and grow through. And it really comes down to really reorienting ourselves to our divinity and the love that is present. Like our operating system is love. We are love. We don't do
Yes.
anything to get more love. We have to peel away the things inside our consciousness that are not love.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
They're
exactly.
against it.
Yeah.
And so
It's a
that's
letting go. It's a letting go of the stories. It's
Mhm.
the letting go of the beliefs. It's a
Mhm.
letting go. We're fully whole. That's one of my core beliefs is we don't need to earn it. We don't need to, make it happen or develop to a certain point. We are already whole. We don't need to do anything to deserve more or be worthy. It's really just this letting go. It's just letting go. And I totally I love how you said, we go into these family systems to really help us with our themes and to help our growth. I went into a family, I'm adopted, and that comes with a whole leap of, worthiness, being wanted, and I have a sister who's adopted, and even my birth mother's adopted. And it's interesting because I can see all these things mirrored with my family as well. And it really just is just coming back in, being like, okay, am I going to, and it's not easy, but for me, my personal journey is, am I going to believe these stories? Am I going to believe what's happened to me? Right? Because I can list them all out and really be attached to these moments where there were times where I didn't feel enough, and it was even mirrored back, and that was my meaning I was giving it, right? Like, oh, I must not be enough, it must not be enough. And
Mhm.
I got to a point, especially, I'm in my 40s now, and I love my 40s, because the 40s was really when I started to really be like, I am not holding on to these things anymore. Like, I am ready to shine my beautiful, I'm a mom, I'm powerful. I am ready to shed these stories. And again, it's not like an immediate thing, it's a process, but it's digging deep into that power of divine fire within all of us, and using that fire to really transmute these stories and these experiences that a lot of times they've happened, and we just loop them, right? We loop them, and every time we loop them, we feel the same feelings, and we're just reliving this. It's like, my process has been, I'm transmuting this. I'm not going back in and reliving it. I'm redefining what that experience was and what that meaning was.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's
One of,
challenging.
one of the
It's
things that I one of the yeah, one of the things that I really work with is the socialization and the culture, like
Mm.
global beliefs and how ingrained they are.
Mhm.
And I've traced back most insecurities to sort of the dominant beliefs that have spread around the world for so long.
Mm. Mhm.
Perfectionism being one of the tenets of and
Mhm.
characteristics of these systems. Having only
Mhm.
one right way,
Mhm.
having, black and white thinking. Like, these types of behaviors are actually, like, I mean, we learned it from our parents because they learned it from somewhere, their parents and like ancestry.
Mhm.
And most of the way that we behave out of safety and our insecurities, unworthiness, and not getting our needs met are sort of like socially taught behaviors. Because some
Mhm.
of us, if you were authentic and expressed yourself truly, you were either pathologized or seen as bad, wrong, mentally ill,
Mhm.
whatever that might be, or killed by the king, or stoned for some reason, or, and that's how some of these things of like, oh, we have to be
Yeah,
a
for
certain way,
sure.
and really hold ourselves to this really inauthentic and dehumanizing degree. And I feel
Mhm.
like sometimes when, like, my mom was like, she really wanted to love me and she wanted me to succeed, so she was hard on me, and so was my dad. And so again, it's like out of
Yes.
love, but
Yes.
how it turned out,
Yeah.
like on the sensitive inside brain of Trish, I'm like, oh
Mhm.
the world's scary and I can't move forward. And so I think that the
Yeah.
sabotagers there for me were really being so afraid to even show myself or my voice
Mm,
with the
mhm.
fear of being hurt and that
Mhm.
the fear of vulnerability because
Yeah.
I wasn't really understanding how to protect myself or to even have a foundation of loving myself. Like
Right.
Yes.
now it's like, "Oh, you don't like me? Okay, bye. Thanks for self-selecting out. More room for
Yes.
other people. Ciao." Like a whole other I'm not trying to sabotage it and keep going
Yeah.
into the relationships that just aren't working.
Yes. Yes. You know, it's interesting. Someone, I can't remember where I heard it. It was a few years ago, and it really stuck with me because I was like, this is so true. When we are, oh,
Sorry, wrong person.
oh, I can, it's not muted. Okay. So they were referring to couples who get together and it's just never working, right? It's just, or they're unavailable. And I think it was Lee Harris, the channel. I think this is from him. And he said, essentially just chasing this disconnection. Right. And I was like, oh, that is so spot on. And I can resonate with that, looking at my relationship history. And after a very significant relationship fell apart, I really just sought out these relationships where it was just there was very much unavailability. And I was like, oh, I was just seeking this disconnect. I wasn't seeking a connection. I was seeking like a disconnection. Um, but I didn't have that awareness in the time. It was completely just these unconscious behaviors, like a mess going on. And then after the fact, it was really just bringing that compassion and love, being like, oh, okay, this is why I was doing it. But I'm going to love myself anyway. And I'm going to spread forgiveness to all those people that I may have impacted in a negative way because I was just unconsciously portraying or putting on the hurt I was feeling from the initial relationship.
Oh yeah. One of the things that I've been sitting a lot with lately, um, is how like the Disney Channel love or the Disney love or
Mhm.
this idea of being like head over heels or like, oh my God, I'll do any is actually a nervous system dysregulation. It's actually not
Mm.
love. And there's
Yeah.
aspects of that sort of dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, norepinephrine flush. Like all these
Mm.
chemicals, you're like, and you're not actually falling in love with the person, you're falling in love with the feeling that's happening within you, which is kind of a drug addiction.
Yeah.
And so I've been sitting with that for a long time around like safe, sane love. It
Mm.
might feel a little boring for people who grew up in chaotic relationships and, it might be a little bit like, "Oh, why isn't there more passion?" And you'll be like, "Oh, because this person actually is like a secure attacher and they're safe." And so it's like
Yes.
those types of things that and I think that again, we're taught to have these like I mean, we're on the back end of Valentine's Day where
Yeah.
passion and like it's like promoted to be like these like grand gestures of like your love and it's actually like when you hear the statistics and when you read the research and when you talk to little old people, what
Mhm.
really truly makes like relationships work is like when people are like, "Hey, you're doing that thing again, that self-sabotaging thing or that relational sabotage.
Mm.
I love you." But
Yeah.
it's also like the doing the dishes and it's also the really not, "Oh my
Yes.
God, I love you so much" moments. It's actually like, "Wow, really? I still love you and I'm still here. We're gonna get through
Yes.
it." It's about those things. And I think that
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of self-love, is like we forget that we're in a relationship with ourself and our business and our friends
Mhm.
and our inner child. Like we're literally in a relationship with ourselves constantly. And we
Yeah.
need to really like honor that relationship and take it out on a date and like
Mhm.
and be committed to it even when it's hard, especially during self-sabotage behaviors because you're like, I don't know why I do this and I can't stop.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah, you got to bring in that self-love and that compassion when you're working through sabotage, because it's very easy to go into a shame spiral and be, well, why am I doing this? When I was going through my very conscious sabotage with my business, I went to mentors and that I trust and that are great. They're not bad mentors, but they didn't get it, right? So it was more of a, oh, Lisa, you know yourself, like just you'll be fine. Just get over it, it takes, and I'm like, this is not helping because I'm not fine and I can't figure out how to get past this. I literally feel like there's cement blocks. Like this is not working. And it was a lot of different ones. Even some of the books I was reading that are great books. I'm not going to mention the books, but these are great books, very well known. And even these books were saying similar things like you got to get over it, or like whatever this thing. And it's like, it's not this thing, right? It's like our inner saboteur is me. Right, and there's a part of me that's coming to the forefront and it needs something, right? It needs to feel seen. It's telling me something.
It's information.
Right? It's information, exactly. It was telling me I don't feel safe with what's on the other side. So I needed to kind of dig in and start understanding, well, what am I not feeling safe about? What is it that I need to really uncover and do some work around so I do feel safer? And it can be challenging like that. The pieces that uncovered themselves really started to uncover just in these moments, almost when I wasn't doing the healing work or the journaling. They just kind of, was riding in a car with my family or something happened. And then I would just get this information, be like, oh my God, this is part of it. Oh my God, this is making sense now. I'm feeling it like in my body, this fear of success, fear of the judgment, fear of if I get too successful, I'm going to be separated from the people I love. I'm going to be somehow on this other level, and that means I'm going to be alone. And I so desperately want to be a part of this and be loved. My inner child just wants to be accepted and be a part of this. And it was really just kind of going through that and saying, well, what's my truth now, and what's a fear, right? What's just like a safety fear that's being triggered? Can I see it in a different light and see that my success, it really allows me to, bring these people that I care about with me into a new experience. And, the fear of judgment, really redefining and connecting deeper into my purpose, which is, well, yeah, there is going to be people, if you get a lot more well known, that judge you and say nasty things. But that's okay because, this is what your purpose is. This is what you came to do, to contribute. And you can't connect with the people that you're meant to connect with if your only focus is on, well, what about these people that aren't going to like it and they're going to say nasty things, right? We're not going to be able to connect with these people who are waiting for you. So it's this kind of this daily process of just, okay, reminding myself that I'm on the right track, and integrating the saboteur is simply, oh, I'm going to walk with my saboteur, right? We're going to walk together, right? Yeah, I'm a little bit scared. Yeah, I'm a little bit fearful, but I'm not villainizing that part of me, because the more I villainize it and saying, oh, I shouldn't be procrastinating, or why can't I just do this? And then I'm resisting, and what we resist persists, right? So we integrating, it was just walking with my saboteur and listening to it daily. What does it need? Okay, maybe I just need a break today. Maybe I need some healing. Maybe I need to go to, one of my spiritual mentors. Maybe I just need to just chill out and watch some Netflix and have some chocolate cake, right? And in a couple hours, I'll go back to the computer and I'll put out whatever it is that I'm feeling scared to release, whatever it was. But it's just that real process of integrating the part of you, seeing it with just love and compassion. It's just it's part of us, right? It just wants to be heard and seen. It has a message.
I love that you're giving us permission to really, what you're speaking about is actually parts work, right? You're learning to like work with all the parts of yourself that could
Yeah.
be in opposition of that stretch you're in. And so I
Mhm.
do this work with my clients too. And I just love that you're speaking so beautifully and eloquently about how the inner work process works when you're
Mhm.
in it, when you're working with it. It's not just a quick, a lot of people will come into a coaching environment thinking they can just have one or two coaching sessions and be
Yeah.
cleared. And when you're working with deep shame curriculum and deep things
Mhm.
that have gone on, it takes a container, and it takes time sometimes to really
Yeah.
make the transition from one state of consciousness to a whole new developmental phase and state of consciousness. And you
Yes.
have to be supported in that, and give yourself the bandwidth and time to allow yourself the gift to grow through it. And it's not something that you have to rush, and it really move
Yeah.
back into a place of honoring, self-honoring,
Mhm.
honoring your journey, honoring where you've come from, honoring the part inside that's scared, and that
Mhm.
you too are guided to do this, that this is your path. And
Yes.
it's okay to say yes to it, and it's okay to take your time on the journey, and it's okay to get support.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I would highly recommend support, even if it's, someone that you're hiring or a trusted friend or family member who can really hold that's be with you, right? Without judgment or trying to, and it's hard because people want to like they want to fix and they want to, you can do it, you can do it. And that was, it's helpful a time or place, but for me, hearing from my mentors are like, you can do this. This is easy. Like you've already done all this. You could. I was like, that's actually not
Not
helping me because it's
helpful.
pushing me more into my shame. Like, why can't I figure this out? It wasn't what I needed. I just needed someone to really just be there and listen and be like, oh my God, I totally understand what you're
Yeah.
feeling.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what we need when we're going through
Mhm.
any kind of sabotaging because we're already shaming ourselves. We don't need anything externally to really like fame, like putting gasoline on the fire that's already happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a client that I've been working with for a while now, and she there's so much fear around being fully seen in her
Mhm.
business, and I've had to really support her in understanding her own relationship with shame, and that she's shaming her shame
Yeah.
and resisting her shame, and not giving herself permission to even feel it, and
Mhm.
so a lot of our conversations are way slowed down. I invite her into a very, very slowed down state and really help her break it
Mhm.
down and understand what is really living inside herself and going on in that moment. And like a light bulb will go off and she'll have an aha moment because it's so slowed down that she's
Mm.
like, "Oh, wow, I had no idea." And it's like
Mhm.
learning to give that part a voice and like
Yes.
the dialogue with what goes on. And it's like it's building a bridge to a place that there's been a very void or disconnect from the
Mm.
part inside that's aching and hurting and like running the show to her own conscious. She's like, I don't get it. I can do all these things, but why do I feel so stuck? You know?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's okay. Don't go into the land of why. This is
Mhm.
serving you,
Yes.
here for you. Let's give it space. And like it's
Yes.
been such a game changer for her to she's been able to make action, she's been able to write,
Mm.
she's been able to like and she goes way
Amazing.
slower at it than
Yeah.
normal, but that's her pace. And I
Yeah.
praise her for her pace. Like your
For
pace
sure.
is your pace. Praise your pace. It's
Oh,
okay.
yes.
It's okay.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. It's so easy to compare, right? It's so easy to go on and be like, "Oh, I should be here. I should be doing this. I should be doing that."
I know because she looks at all the people online that are like, and I'm like, those people have a team. Those people have been in business 15 years longer than you. Like, you can't
Mhm.
compare yourself to those people. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
And I'll add this because I always found really helpful it was for me, and when I share it, it can be helpful. That, one of the biggest healing parts for me was at a certain place in my business, I started to attract all these people who, if I had looked at them years prior, I would have really compared and said, "Oh, this person has it all together. They know what they're doing. There's no way that they're struggling with any of these kind of, sabotaging or inner critic." And then when I started to have these sessions with these individuals, I started to just really see, like, oh, they're all having the same thing. Oh, we're all having the same thing. Oh, okay. So it's just a human being thing. And it doesn't matter where you are or how it appears in your business or in your life. These are human things that we're all going through.
Yes.
We're all working through.
Mm.
And for me, that was really healing, because these are, I don't put anyone on a pedestal now, but I did it at one point. And then when it started to kind of break down, I was like, why am I putting anyone on a pedestal? We're all just human beings doing our best.
Beautiful.
That, reminding yourself that what can you might perceive, there's a whole different story of a person behind that.
Absolutely. Tell us more about, we're going to give you the opportunity you ready to share what you...
Sure. I mean, I've already shared a lot of it in regards to, if someone is finding themselves in a sabotaging pattern. The first step is to be okay, that's good. The mic. So the first step is to be aware. So if you're not aware, you're not aware. Then you're just kind of going through. So it won't even really be applicable. But when you do become aware of a pattern, then the first step is really to just acknowledge, okay, am I holding myself back? Right? Okay, let me get curious and not go into the voice. And if you do, that's okay. But really getting curious on what's going on here. Because let's say I said I was going to, I got really excited, let's say, about writing a book. And I'm really excited about writing this book, but it's been 3 months and I haven't written anything. What's going on here? Does this feel like I am holding myself back? Right. And this is sometimes it can be much more drastic how I experienced it, which I was like, oh, I'm fully in a mode here where I am sabotaging, but it's always different. So the first step is becoming aware, getting curious, releasing the judgment. How can I release the judgment? Right? Judgment is very easy. You're going to see it everywhere, right? The judgment can be reinforced of, you just got to do it. If you don't do it, you're not good enough. I can think about a few very popular personal development leaders who are great, but they often talk about this, you just got to do it. And if you don't do it, like, get it together. So it's, how can I remove myself from that story, that belief system, and really come back to a place of, no, I'm going to release the judgment here. And I'm just going to get curious. What's going on here? Do I feel like I'm not, I'll use a book for an example. Do I feel like I don't feel safe sharing my story? Is there part of me that's scared it won't be good enough? Is there part of me that's scared I'll be judged? Is there a part of me that if I write this book, no one's going to read it? Or maybe I feel nervous that everybody's going to read it. So, you can do some journaling, self-inquiry, work with someone to really get clear. Well, what is really going on here? Again, going to the root, it's, I don't feel safe or I don't feel worthy. And then it's the healing process. So what does the healing process look like? So the healing process can look like a lot of things. There's lots of different modalities that you can use for the healing process. I will say that one thing that can be beneficial for sabotage is some kind of somatic work or tapping, right? Tapping is a really popular healing modality you can do at home. But if you're feeling that, for me, it got to a place where mentally I felt very like I had cleared and I had released a lot of the resistance. But I remember one time, like in my processing of it, I had, made some decisions, done some things. And I remember walking into a grocery store, and all of a sudden I started to feel dizzy, and I started to feel um, my body reacting in a way that it used to react when I was resisting something. And it was a clear indication to me that, oh, I got to do some body work now, because I've done a lot of healing on, my beliefs and my self-talk, but my body doesn't feel safe, right? So understanding that if you're healing a journey of sabotaging, that there's different layers, and it's really about finding the healing modalities that are going to work for you and that you feel a relief with. Then, if you're really, committed to this process, one of the next steps is shifting the habitual patterns. So what this can look like is, from I'm going to use my own journey for an example. I got to a place where, I'd done a lot of the work around shifting in my body. I'd done a lot around on my mindset, but I still had some patterns in place that weren't aligned with where I wanted to go, right? They were still these patterns and behaviors, like with my sleep or with my working, that I needed to work on shifting. It wasn't that I was still holding on to the fear, but they were habitual patterns, right? So as human beings, we are habitual. So taking notice of that. And again, this takes a level of awareness that starts to unfold as you go through this process, right? I mean, this is a process I take my clients through, and it is helpful to walk with a coach, but even if you were walking on your own journey, right? Continuing on, knowing and trusting that this deep awareness is going to come. And if you feel that, okay, now I have some habitual patterns that I need to shift, then you can go into that work. But just to circle back to the beginning, a lot of times when someone, let's say, is working through procrastination, they may immediately go to kind of like, well, let me see if I need to get a journal, right? They'll use tactics that we use for the shifting to habitual patterns at the beginning. So they'll think, maybe I need a journal, or maybe I need to do like a productivity app on my phone, or maybe I need this, or maybe I need that. And it can be very frustrating, because you can start implementing these things and you're like, oh, it's not working. I'm not even using the journal. I bought 5 journals, I'm not even opening any of them. Or I don't even open the app. Because that's not the problem, right? Because at the beginning of the journey, it's really coming in and getting curious, and let me understand what the deeper core fear is. And then it's shifting these habitual patterns. And then the fourth stage is really, working on getting past that safety line. So if this is our safety line, right, and we're doing our work and we're expanding up, then it's continuing to do practice. So this is when it's great to do practices like manifestation practices and visualization, and really tuning into, what is my vision? Can I go bigger with my vision? What's really exciting me? And then the fun part is, a lot of times you're going to go back and forth through all of them, right? Because it's not a linear process. So you're going to get to a certain place in your journey. You're going to be up here, and then it might hit you again, right? Because again, you're at another edge, and then it goes back into, oh, I'm not going to judge myself. I'm going to have compassion. What's going on here? Where do I not feel safe? Where do I not feel, worthy? Let me address that. Let me do the healing. And then it's in this process of integrating the saboteur, so you can continue on your path to fulfill your life's work, or fulfill the project you want to do, or to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. So that's the step. The most important part is releasing the judgment, seeing this as a deep opportunity for you to do some real deep growth. And when you sign up for this journey of growth, understanding you're doing some real powerful soul work here, and to love yourself through it. So I'll leave it at that.
Oh, I love how you were sharing just really about listening to what is right for you, like walking through with yourself or walking with someone else. I mean, yes, I also agree that walking with a coach or a therapist is incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
It moves it faster.
Much faster, yeah.
Much
And-
faster.
Yeah.
And also just the kindness around what you're sharing, like the compassion around, like, hey, this is part of you. Like to resist this part of you is really gonna make it stick harder.
It does. It sticks harder. And I've worked with a lot of individuals that are very hard on themselves, right? I think a lot of us are, but type A, go, go, go. I have all these things. And then it's, well, why can't I do this? And it can just make that voice so much louder. Like, oh my God, I'm a screw up. I'm screwing this up. Like, no, you're not. You're having this because it really matters to you. Right? When we do things that are related to our life's work, it's just this huge vulnerability. It's just like opening ourselves up. So yeah, you're going to open yourself up to resistance, because it's a totally different level than, I've achieved lots of stuff, but it wasn't vulnerable achievements. It was just achievements. It was go, go, go. Let me make this happen. Let me do this. But like these other stuff is, okay, I'm opening myself up, and this is opening up a whole new can of worms. Yeah, there's probably going to be some resistance. And sometimes that shows up as a lot of sabotaging to keep you safe, right? Keep you beyond the safety line.
I love that you made that distinction between just achievements and vulnerable achievements.
Mm-hmm.
It's in a culture that teaches us that productivity is part of our worth. It's powerful to actually really hear that distinction.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are so programmed with productivity is our worth. And that's one I've had to break down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was exhausting. It was exhausting operating like that. Constant achievement, stacking achievements. Like, what? What am I doing with this?
From a person who also has that list of like, and I know Dawn has these lists of like trainings and certifications and degrees, like,
oh yeah.
And then you're really like, why am I so tired? I don't have the energy to like step up into my practice, or things changed and I had children, or wow, I took I got an offer for a job that I didn't know that I wanted, and like, but it's going to seem like I'm doing this thing because, or I'm going to step away or fail because I'm choosing something else. Like, it's a whole crazy wild thing. So I love this. Lisa, you're so lovely. I'm
Thank you.
so glad that we've had you on to share about self-sabotage and inner saboteur and really stepping into our life's work.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I love both of you guys. You're so in tune and you speak the language of love, which is my language. I love. And I scheduled this purposely after Valentine's Day to be in that energy of love and self-love, and to really, if people aren't feeling that love, which can happen, on Valentine's or the day after, to really, help spread some compassion. And, you're on the right path. Even if you've been in a sabotaging pattern or procrastinating for months and years, you're still on the right path. You're moving in the right direction, because if you weren't resisting it, right, you'd either be moving towards it, or you forgot about it. You would have given up. You'd be like, I'm just going to give up. I'm just going to move in this. No, you're still on the path because you're resisting it, which is a good thing. You haven't given up.
Can you tell us a little bit about how to find you, what you're doing, all of that?
Sure. I got a lot of things going on this year. This year just seems like, last year seemed like very slow and a lot of introspection, and this year just just blowing up, very busy. So people can reach out on my Facebook. I believe it's Lisa Jeff's Coach, on my Instagram, my podcast, which is linked to my link tree and my Instagram. Um, and I got a lot of stuff going on in regards to women empowerment this year, really helping leaders, executives cultivate unshakable confidence, which is a combination of really understanding self-esteem and confidence, and what does that look like, and how can you really start to embody that in your work or in your career. And that's, I think over the past maybe year and a half, confidence has been, just in my world, a lot of people reaching out. I don't feel confident. I don't feel confident. And I think a big part of that is because they're being invited to step into a new space. They're having these invitations to rise and do this different work. And it is triggering a feeling of, not being confident or not feeling like they're enough. So, that's a big part of the podcast that I do, really speaking to those elements. So again, that can be found on my link tree. That's the best place to reach out. Send me a DM, reach out. I do have a website, but it's getting all redone. So it's better to reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook.
What beautiful work you do in the world, Lisa. I can really feel your heart. I can feel your journey. I can feel your truth in everything you've shared around, working with the inner saboteur and your own, like, it's so beautiful to hear that you've been through it and you've walked that path and that you walk others home in that same way. And I really just share in that same sentiment with my own clients too. And it brings such joy to your heart when you can serve someone at the deepest soul level. And I can see you're doing that. And yes, I commend you. I celebrate you. I'm so grateful to know you and to, do this show promoting your beautiful work. And it feels so good to just be your friend and to celebrate you in this way. Like, what great gift you're giving to the world.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate both of you and all the work you're bringing in, which is so important, right? The trauma work and the relationship work and all of that it encompasses. So important as we're on this crazy ride of expanded consciousness that we're all on. So thank you. And thank you for having me. I appreciate the invitation.
Thank you.
Thank you. So everybody can reach we posted all your links for those listening in the Facebook. If you want to find Lisa's links, they're all on Facebook. You're welcome to go to the Self-Love Show and click any of the links. There's a bunch of them. And thank you for sharing your work, which is really exciting. You can also go to her link tree, which is also posted. So yeah, just Lisa, you're fabulous in every way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I look forward to connecting again.
Yeah. And then for those women also curious, I have a free women's circle happening February, I think it's the 23rd or 24th. I posted it in the private chat, Trish, if you want to post it. So it's the February, I think it's not this Friday, but the following Friday, and it'll be at 2 p.m. And this is really an opportunity for you to just come, and it's a reflection moment. It's like we're still in winter, we're kind of crossing that threshold into spring, and this is the perfect time to kind of shed the winter coat in a way of like what the digestion of all that material in your own life has been, and reclaim yourself, like what needs to be reclaimed, what needs to let go. And so it's a reflection moment, it's a reclamation moment of your power. And so this is just a free, beautiful offering I'm offering to sisters online, and it's a Zoom, so you can attend from anywhere. It will be 2 p.m. PST time zone, and you can find the link in the chat. And please come join and share with your sisters, your sister friends. It is a women's circle, but I'm going to try to be doing them monthly, which is really exciting. I love the generosity of this and the heart of this. And I just really feel like I want to serve women in really helping them open to like the next chapter of their own life. And a lot of times it takes, like, we have to let go of things to make space. And this is a time of planting seeds right now. So come plant your seeds and come reclaim your power. And so, yeah, my love to you.
You both are doing such beautiful work. I am honored to know you both and like delighted to know that you both walk this world, holding hands with others and really helping them transform their lives into what they want it to be. So
Very sweet.
big to you.
Oh, cool.
What you didn't hear, if you're listening on the podcast, is that I've got reactions on my computer where if I do hand signals like a heart, that it'll show little hearts. Or
That's so cool.
if I do 2 thumbs up, then I will get a whole bit of
Wow.
fireworks in the background. I'm leaning into it because I'm
Fancy.
kind of cheesy.
I like it.
Yeah. I want to thank everyone who's been listening and watching for showing up weekly for your own love, for your own self-love, and for your own life. And I know that this work is really difficult, and it can be also really fun, and it can be lonely sometimes as you shift and change. So I just want to give you a big shout out to all those people who are really committed to their own self-love and self-growth. Here's some love and heart emojis to you. Thank you for being here and listening to the show and making this all possible. I really want to speaking of making it all possible, I really want to give a big shout out to Roy and Russell, who is the faces and the hard work behind the Self-Love Show. Thank you for showing up every week and making this wildly possible. We love you, and kisses to Poppy. Again, I would also like to thank Love Coach Academy, Global Peace Tribe, and all of our affiliates and sponsors that also just show up here and bring this to you. So we will see you same time, same place next week right here. Have a wonderful week.